Hey guys, new video here. We finally finished our testing of blood-filled rituals without bosses in them, and we've actually learned a lot. So quick recap of our other videos, right? We did like 109 Elder and Shaper Guardian maps with the Elder or Shaper Guardian in them for those vessels, and we made about 40 exalts just from the ritual reward screen. Then we did about like I think it was 39 or 40 maps without the Guardian, Shaper or Elder Guardian, but just a map boss in there, right? And we also made, when we extrapolate that data over 109 maps, we also made about 40 exalts exactly. That was really nice. And then what we want to test out is, well, what if we take out the boss, right? There's no map boss in there. There is no Shaper Elder Guardian in there. Does that influence the rarity? And TLDR, it doesn't. Nothing really matters on the rarity of the rewards except for the vessel itself. The reason that this is so important is because this means that anybody who wants to use vessels, vessels are these little things right here that I'll talk about. Anyone who wants to use these vessels on their rituals can do so on any altar. It doesn't need to be a boss spawning on top of the altar, or I guess vice versa, the altar spawning on top of boss. It could be the first altar, the second altar, the third altar. If you forget one, who cares, right? Because in the next map, there's gonna be more altars, and you can capture any one of them. Now, a lot of people ask, like, wait, shouldn't you only capture the last one because the last one has the most monsters? Well, no, because the last one has the most monsters because it respawns all the monsters that were killed in the previous rituals. However, only the mobs that are assigned to that altar will be captured because it says on the vessel itself, monsters slain for the first time. So all the ones, like let's say there's 4 ritual altars, all the ones from the first, second, and third ritual that you killed won't count, unfortunately, right? It'd be way too OP. And then everyone just rush to the last one and then, you know, capture that one. And then before them in, you get what? You have like thousands of monsters per ritual vessel. It'd be a little bit too OP. And I think these are really nice. So yeah, huge implications because you don't need to worry about bossing anymore. And it was really annoying, right? Because if you were to count how many times the percentage chance of a ritual altar spawning on top of your map boss, it might be 1 in 3, it might be 1 in 4, you might go an unlucky streak, right? And you might be doing maps where you're like, man, if the boss really matters, it sucks when I don't get a spawn in there. But that does not matter. All that matters is that your boss has something in there. So let me actually like give you an example so that this makes more sense. I'm gonna take like this one right here, Purifiers and Elder Guardian. This is an empty one, and this is like a like this one's like 22 monsters. This is actually a very good example. Okay, so let's go over well, first let's go over the results, right? Because that's probably what you care about. So how did we run this test? Well, we ran this test the exact same way we rolled our maps for the 109 of the Elder and Shaper one, where we put 120% Deli Orb on it just to like make some more juice for the Beyonds, make the maps more fun themselves. But I don't really think that actually matters too much. The Beyond actually does kind of matter because some of those Beyonds were counting towards the Ritual Vessel Tribute, but not towards the rarity. Talk about a little bit more about that later. And so we put a Deli Orb, we obviously chiseled, we made sure there was a T16 map that we were running, and then we put in 4 vessels with no bosses. If you want to know a little tip, okay, to search, right? Let's say like these are your vessels right here, actually this one right here. And we type in, you can type in this, right? Other. Now, what does other search for? Other searches for bosses. You see these like unique nameplates on here. You can see all these. And why does it search that? It's because the word, the unique monster, and other monsters is always going to be on there. So I actually learned that from chat. So good job, chat. Good job, chat Coon. And so if you want to filter out, like separate them to test out yourself, you can easily find the filtering here. Okay. So we ran 4 vessels with white vessels only that are filled. Okay. We didn't care about the monster count. We didn't care about where it came from. We didn't care about the monster level either because we were capturing mostly on Atoll because I was farming harvest, but we had a lot of testing before from tier 14 to 16 when I was buying the vessels from, so we had a good sample size of that. So we didn't care about anything except for it could not have a unique nameplate like this in there. Okay, and then we ran 109 of them. What are the results? Okay, well, the results are we made from no boss vessels, okay, on the same rolled map, kind of rolled maps, we made 8,000 C, right? And it's pretty liquid too. If you want to see like a picture of the tab, this is it after I cleaned it up a little bit. And this represents like notable drops. If you want to watch my last video on it, you can see what I mean by notable. Notable just means like usually it'd be less chance to get this in a regular one because you run so many T16 burials, and we know how it feels to run a normal ritual. It's usually kind of garbage, right? So notable meant like, you know, does this show up at a better rarity, a higher stack size, or like more of it in terms of like, for example, let me just give you an example here. You see the more rare fossils there, right? You can see that those are not like your frigid metallic and your what's the other one? Frigid metallic and scorched and stuff like that. So although these fossils aren't really that expensive or anything, they're not like fractured fossils. I don't even know you can even get, but they showed up more. More of the slightly like mid-range fossils showed up more. Blighted maps, you know, aren't really that valuable, but they showed up way more. The bigger essences, especially like deafening and shrieking and things like that. And then the currency stacks, you can see that we got like stacks of currency. We did not count currency that we took that wasn't notable, meaning that if I picked up 2C or like a scouring or a set of Elch for the ritual vessels again, we wouldn't include it here. So actually the return on these is a lot more than 80 exalts, because you know I just dumped that. And same with the other previous tests too, right? I just dumped the smaller currencies and the less worthwhile stuff. Okay, so this is a picture of it, and then once again go in here. Something else to note is that I have a 4 stack of exalts that I've deferred like 2 or 3 times. That's still in the ritual vessel for or that's still in the altars for this character. So that's pretty close. Like in a few more maps, I'll just grab that. So it'll be 4 more exalts that I've already found, and then a stack of 1 exalt. Because not stack, but there's another 1 exalt separate that we found at the same time as the 4 exalt stack, and that will make it like 85 exalts total. Now, any like crazy, I guess, RNG drops, because remember last time I had a mirror, but I took that out of the results for the 40 exalt profit. And then you look at this one, and we actually got a badge of the Brotherhood. So that I divined it to 10% elusive effect, took like 2 or 3 divines, and then that sold for 36 exalts about 5 minutes after we found it in the thing. So I added the exalties here. If you are going to take out that badge of the Brotherhood for 36 exalts, then obviously you're looking at 44 exalts, which is still kind of strange, right? Because it is still at a rate at which the no boss vessels outperformed the boss vessels. Now, what this obviously means to me, after seeing the spikes in RNG, and like sometimes you get some good stuff, like you can see we got Cortex there, pretty nice, main orbs. The spikes of RNG and the quality of the drops seem to be only determined by the wording on the ritual vessel. Okay, so the wording on the ritual vessel, this is actually, and here's like the important points that we've deduced from the blood-filled vessels. Okay, the only thing that increases the rarity of the ritual window, meaning like, will you be more likely to get a oops, that's my food right there. Will you be more likely to get a mirror, a headhunter, a badge of the brother, a tier 1 unique? You know, these rarity, super rare things are only more likely to show up to the point that you use 4 vessels. Okay, so, and this is why I grabbed these to kind of show you, right? So in a perfect world, okay, let's say that each of these 4 vessels had the exact same number of monsters, right? So this one has 22, this one has 30, this one has 37, this one has 48. Let's just say they all had an arbitrary exact same amount. And now what are the differences between these? Well, one of them is from one map, one is for another map, one has regular map bosses, one has a elder boss. So keeping all the monsters the same, if we were to run like 1 billion of these, right, just to get that real juicy data, with each set of 4, so you do 4 of these with each map, 4 of these, each map, 4 of these, each map, 4 of these, so like 4 billion of these, right? And we track the data, the rarity of the items would be pretty much the same. Like you would have probably the same expected exalt value in your dump tabs afterwards. Okay, and I'm pretty sure that this is true because we've done so many of these so far, and other people that have done this, you can chime in the comments if you want to provide your data. Okay, now, so what does matter then if the rarity of the boss and the monsters don't matter? Well, the monsters give more tribute, right? So obviously this one with monsters of 22 is going to give lower amounts of total tribute at the end, which means you can buy less things. And then a monster count of, let's say sometimes you get 100, sometimes 200 if you're super lucky, or you're trying really hard. Then that would be more beyonds that spawn in the map when you're killing them, of course. And then so that like that's a separate drop, right? This is regular map drops and stuff. So you get more loot overall because more monsters in map more means more loot. But obviously from the tribute standpoint, it wasn't like too massive of a difference, right? Meaning that like when I was like just running these, I did separate some of the ones that were over 100. I ran them together, and sometimes you get like 18, 19, 20, 22,000 tribute. But the range, you know, maybe between like 12,000 at the very, very lowest, maybe like 10, 11,000. In the highest range, 22,000. Those extremes were rare, and most of the time you had more than enough to buy all the rare things, or at least defer all the things that you wanted. Okay, so I personally don't think that you need to, if you're gonna run these, you do not need to even think about how many monsters are in there or like what's in there, because at the end of the day, you know, when you put them in there, you will have enough tribute to defer any individual item. Most of the time you'll have enough to defer even 2 or 3 big items if you need to, and just straight up purchase the non like tiny gumball currency. So that's not something that we really need to worry about. If you really want to see how this feels or how this like ends up playing out in the map, my VOD from last night, twitch.tv/qdog_, go to videos, go to past broadcasts, and just watch a little bit of the gameplay. You can see how the monsters spawn. You can see how the tribute spawns. You can see how I make my selections. You can see how I swap things when I reroll, right? I always try to reroll. And that's another thing. My strategy is based on you always go for a reroll, meaning defer if you need to reroll, because you're basically getting 2 rituals with this rarity in one. That is super important. I think I forgot to mention that in my previous videos, right? Always reroll. So that is like kind of cool that we figured that out. And if you read the vessels, right, initially the reason we did this test is because that's all it says on the vessel, right? The vessel says 20% improved favorite rewards per ritual vessel, right? And no matter what you have in there, that number doesn't change, right? It's like, what if you had like 200 and like 3 bosses? What if it said like 40%, right? That'd be kind of crazy. And because it didn't change, that's what we're trying to figure out. Now, we don't know if that's 80% improved or if it's 1.2 raised to the power 4, right? I don't think it really matters, but it would be kind of cool because it does seem like it's like exponential or something, because the T16's maps without any vessels put in them, man, those rituals really suck. So rituals make it like super fun and super rewarding. And once again, to mention, it really felt that like the map was alive. Like you might think that losing out on Harvey, Breach, any kind of monster adding Scarabs, Elder, Shaper, what have you, Metamorph, all these things, I didn't miss them. Once again, it felt like the map was very much alive, very, very juicy. And that was pretty cool to notice as well. The unique bosses, besides like monster count giving slightly more tribute, unique bosses when they spawn, they do make it a little bit harder. So be careful if you are putting in these big boy bosses, and if you are buying these from anywhere. And remember that the bosses give the bosses give a tiny bit of burst of tribute, but once again, doesn't really impact you at the end of the day. I'm telling you, it really does not. A little bit more into this because there is a little bit more to talk about, right? So when you're running this, let's say you're running beyond when you're killing all the bosses, or sorry, when you're killing all the monsters in the ritual shrine, and those monsters are spawning beyonds, the beyonds do get fed into the tribute. So that's why like I recommend running beyond if you can, right? It does make it a little bit harder because like all those mobs dying in one place will trigger a crap ton of beyond mobs, beyond bosses. So if you can't handle it, remember, if you die, the ritual ends instantly, your tribute is cut off. Rarity doesn't get changed, right? Because when you click on the ritual, it spawns it generates the rewards right away, and that will never change. But if you die, you will be able to purchase less. So that's kind of sad, okay? In these runs, I never ever had anything like fail to defer, meaning that, you know, when you defer and you forget to like take it, or you don't have enough to take it, maybe in a regular map, and it slowly like goes back up to the main price and it has a red outline and then disappears. That never came close to happening. There were times where I like sometimes like misclick like once maybe, and I'd be like, oh, oops, I forgot to get that. I clicked on the wrong thing, or like I accidentally rerolled instead of deferred. But I never lost a single notable item, so that's never really a big deal with these because you have so much tribute. A lot of the time looking at these, looking at like the fighting of the monsters and the timing of it, right? When I think about adding scarabs to a map, I usually think about things like, okay, there are things that take a long time, right? Breach takes a super long time. So when people complain about rituals taking longer, they don't remember this line here that says the ritual spawn monsters 20% faster per ritual vessel. And Lost Leaves took no time at all. It was super fast. and it actually beats out some of the scarabs, I believe, in the time to spawn. Like if you ever use a piranha scarab, some of those chests take forever, right? Because you gotta kill all the mobs and there's a giant bubble, and it's like variable spawn rate of it like unlocking and you getting the rewards. So rituals are actually feel very, very speedy. And the intangibles here, if you enjoy ritual, is very important to note, because remember, we already talked about all the Beyond spawning in one place, super juice, right? So very good synergy with Beyond, but also you have to remember that it's less micromanagement. So if you're going to do maps, right, and you're going to put in your scarab columns, or maybe you're still like selecting scarabs at random here, it's going to be really slow, because you got to set up your columns, you got to set up like which 4, make sure you have the right 4, maybe you got to swap things around if something happens, you got a sexton or something like that. Well, with these, you choose any 4, right? Because we've determined that a lot of things don't matter, right? All that matters is that you have 4 vessels. And so it's super easy to just get a bunch of these. You can get any ritual, once again, any ritual altar, and just put in 4. Take any 4 you want. It doesn't matter. And then just go in there and boom, you are now playing Ritual League. You're experiencing more of the Challenge League. And the rewards, the excitement is way better, because now it's like over a month in the league. You probably have some money, and I'm telling you, it is really cool when like you can kind of depend on that next like exalt or stack of 4 or 5 exalts, and it will happen absolutely. And then that's like, it's like, oh, okay, now I got that, I'm gonna defer it, or I'm gonna get it right now. And that big burst of currency is way more fun than being like, okay, on average every map I get like, from this scarab I get like 2C. This scarab I get 10C, this one I get 40C. It's like kind of, it feels way better in my opinion. Okay, other things to note. I think I might have misspoken in one of my other videos, because I was using a divination, or I was using a piranha scarab along with 3 breath vessels. Okay, so no matter what filled vessels you put in, you'll get 4 altars. It's really annoying to get 3 altars, because with 3 altars, that 4th altar is missing, meaning that like all the 3 that you got, the tribute would have been like doubled, right? Because all the 3 ritual altars would have been put into the 4th one as well. And you're like, oh man, if I only had a little bit more tribute, maybe I could get this one extra thing. Well, if you put in 4 of these, you get 4 altars. No questions asked. Okay, so it doesn't, once again, it doesn't matter what's in there. It could be 4 of these white ones, it could be 4 of these boss ones with like super juice bosses, it could be any map boss, doesn't matter. Any blood-filled vessel you can think of, any combination will guarantee 4 ritual altars, which is very, very strong. A lot of mob count. Something else that I noticed is that if you want to kind of like take this a step further, you know how like in other videos I mentioned like, hey, you should do Carto scarabs. Like Carto scarabs are really crazy. I'm gonna make a video just about Carto scarabs. Carto scarabs give a lot of maps sell. Usually on stream I'll sell like up to 1,000 C at least of maps every stream, just because like you're just naturally dropping these. I've noticed that when running rituals, right, I thought I'll miss the Carto scarabs because none of those maps would drop, because I wasn't adding monsters through just the scarabs and that juice coming together. But as it turns out, these rituals, when they're respawning the mobs and everything, look at this. Look at this. Another sale. Well, look at this. Another sale. Okay, so yeah, these are really easy to sell, by the way. 400. Wait, how much is that? Okay, 425C worth of park maps. So if you do your favoriting correctly, right, based on what maps are selling really quickly, right, you can look this up on PB Ninja. The rituals dropped a really, really fair amount of maps. I was very surprised by that, because there was many times like halfway through my task or something, like lots of my tabs would fill up, my dunes, my parks, my atolls, my what's another one I have, like cemeteries, things like that, just fill up. And I'd be like, oh, your affinity doesn't work anymore because you're full. 72 maps in that tab are filled up. And that's something really, really cool. So I do recommend, if you want a little bit extra sweatiness, if you're doing this for the first time, that you make sure that your favoriting of your maps is set up so you can sell bulk maps. Okay, you'd be surprised on these. Okay, other little notes that are anecdotal. I was doing these tests on tier 16 maps because of what we know about things like Legion, Cassie, Breach, all these previous league mechanics where they scale it up, Bestiary especially. They scale it up based on the map tier. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to be hindered in any percentage, any small way, by the tier of the map that I've chosen. So I just went with tier 16. I might do a test with tier 14s to see if it's worse, because I felt like the tier 16s were better than the 15s and 14s. I've spoken to some top men and they feel this way too, because we always said that like I felt that tier 16s were like really garbage with normal vessels, with normal maps, no vessels. But like it seems that tier 16 is way better with the vessels than the lower tiers. Okay, so just keep that in mind. That's anecdotal. I have no proof of this. It's just a feeling. I'm either going to test 14s with vessels, or I'm going to use ivory stones and juice it up to tier 19s, maybe tier 18s, maybe tier 17s, maybe, and use the vessels again and see what happens, right? Maybe there'll be something cool if we increase the map idle. So that might be another test. Overall takeaways from this test is that it is extremely fun. Okay, I'll bring this up again. And if you're wondering if it's worth it, I think it absolutely is if you get these yourself. And, because you can buy a lot of these empty vessels for like 10C each in bulk, for massive bulk, and then just fill them up in any map you want. Now, let's talk about the pricing, right? So imagine you bought this many vessels. So you would need 400 and I did 109 maps, right? You need 436 to do this test. 436, let's say at bulk is 10C. So that's 43 exalts of vessels for a gain of 80 exalts, right? What that means is that, let's say we make what the 80 plus like the 85, right? Because the exalts are still my altar. So you're making only like let's say 39 exalts, right? With this set. And if you were to take out that badge, maybe you only made a few exalts. Well, that might be true, but like you gotta think about that. You're doing normal maps, so the normal maps have their own drops as well. So you're not like discounting that what you got in the map itself, right? Like the map sales, anything that could have dropped in a juiced up map with sextants and all that stuff. So you will be getting other stuff as well, right? So depending on how you look at this and look at my other data, you could be like, wait a minute, maybe like, scarabs might be better, and that may be true, but you gotta remember that this is like the best way, I think, for newer players to get those bigger RNG drops in a more deterministic way, right? Because we do know that you can't lose money, and we do know that these spikes, every single time I've gotten some spikes that like, you're like, whoa, like, I've made some money here, right? It's kind of crazy. So, if you're having fun with it, try it out. I think it's absolutely worth. And rituals are technically free, right? You can get these vessels yourself out of the ritual. The tribute doesn't cost you anything. So try it out. I've had a great time. We've dropped a mirror from it, dropped a badge from it, a lot of cool stuff from it, right? And I will say this: if you're a newer player and you have no exalts, you are much more likely to get exalts and other things out of the ritual than you are just running Ouch and Go maps. Okay, so try it out. Let me know what you think. And that's the data. Hope you guys enjoy. Maybe a new video with what's it called? Higher tier 17 maps with ritual vessels. We'll see. Okay. Thank you guys for watching my video. If you guys have any questions, you guys can ask me on my stream every day. I stream every day on Twitch at twitch.tv/Kijo_. And all right, I love you guys. Bye. Thanks for watching my video. Bye.